Kara Swisher is here at Post 9 to talk more about this deal, what it means to whom, whether you have suspicions about the process.
Yes, I do. I do. You know, Luke, I see lawyers. The force is with the lawyers. I think this is going to be challenged.
Really?
Yeah, I think some of these statements that Trump has made on not just in this case, which was interesting and not surprising, but also online. You know, I mean, he does it on Twitter all the time, calling it, you know, Amazon Washington Post, and the links he's made and the comments he's made about Jeff Bezos. They were a front runner until these comments started happening. So you've got to wonder if there was any kind of, you know, the same thing that happened with Trump and AT&T around related to CNN. It's the same meddling, the same kind of meddling and acting as if the government is his fiat, which is not.
Assuming it's a clean process, it's a big deal for Azure, right?
Absolutely, it is. But if I was Amazon, I would be wanting to have some discovery happening, I would imagine, and to depose some people about what was said and how it was said. And so I think the question is, do they want to get messed up into it, or not? But this is a big deal. So and this is something that Amazon was absolutely in the front, the most certified. I think they had all the. It's not to take anything from Microsoft, but it might not be a fair fight here.
Yeah, and I mean, certainly part of the reason Amazon was seen as the front runner is because they did already have I guess you could call it a similar contract with the CIA as well here. I mean, there's a few ways that this could play out, right? If Amazon protests, they could do that through the GAO. If the GAO says, you know, votes in favor of the way the competition is played out already, they could take it to the court system and basically file a lawsuit, which, by the way, is a similar situation that we saw play out with Oracle before we got this award. But in general, and different analysts sort of have different numbers out there on how much U.S. government cloud contracts could represent in the coming years. I've seen numbers as high as $100 billion.
Sure.
It does seem like, regardless, that this is going to be Amazon versus Microsoft for many of these future deals.
100%. The question is it a clean thing? And if Trump is there trying to put his thumb on the scale, that's a problem. And, you know, it'll be the most expensive that Jeff Bezos ever paid for the Washington Post. You know what I mean? It has these repercussions. And so the question is, what do they do when they're in this situation? Do they continue to try to compete and stay quiet about it? And what precedent does it set for the president to be saying things like this? Like to be saying, screw, if this is true, this reporting is true, which sounds like he started to do it with the post office. He does it with the Washington Post and everything else. And so the question is, are these clean, even if they're not quid pro quo, you know, it's like, wow, the president saying something like this does have the force of something.
It does put Amazon in a tough position because they are making this big investment in the D.C. area. You know they want to be a federal contract player.
Right.
Do they want to create more dust around this in particular when there's a lot more technology contract work to be had, even around the edges of JEDI? They could end up being a significant winner, even though they're not the headline winner here. So we're going to learn something about Amazon as an enterprise and government player from how they respond to this and how out front they are.
But this is how corrupt organizations work. This is what happens. What if he is in 4 more years and there's more contracts? So the question is, what do you do is a very good question for Amazon. I don't know what I would do, but if there is proof of this, they certainly might want to do it. If they don't, and they just move along and just say it's okay, and then start to kiss up the administration, the whole thing is just not great. Right. It's not a great way to win. That said, Microsoft has made a lot of strides with Azure, and you know that they've kept quiet off to the side. They didn't go buy a newspaper. They didn't, you know, get in the crosshairs of Trump, and so that's the question: is how much involvement was here, or just a lot of bluster, and that's really what they have to find
Separate
out.
from JEDI, given the AWS numbers we got last week.
Amazing.
I mean, it's a dogfight in cloud. It's crazy, right?
It is. And for a long time, Amazon was by itself, right? And Google hadn't been there. I remember having a lunch with Sundar Pichai, and he was like, oh, we were late to this because we were busy doing other things, and it turned out to be the best business of all. And I think the question is, does this spin off? Like, that continues to be the question of whether AWS, and I interviewed Andy Jassy this year, and they were saying no. They're giving the signals no. But if it would spin off, it would be one of the most valuable companies in the world, right? Something like that. And so where does that go? And there's so much opportunity, not just in the U.S. government, across the world for all these companies. And the question is, who's going to be dominant? And who's going to be a laggard? You know, Oracle used to be the one here and stuff like that.
We're going to find out more tonight with Alphabet.
Even
more. The picture fills in just a little bit more.